So we'll begin today's webinar. So thank you for joining me. Like I mentioned before, my name's Madison Jones. I'm a data access assistant on the Access team, and I'll be presenting the Finding and Accessing Data with the UK Data Service webinar. So today's webinar will be about how to find and access data held by ourselves. There will be an introduction to the types of data available on our service and information on how to use our various search engines, as well as other useful tools. In the second part of the webinar, we'll look at our dataset and data series pages. In the third section, we'll look at different ways data can be accessed, and we'll touch on different access conditions that exist for our data. Finally, at the end, we'll have some time for questions. So should your question not be answered during the presentation, please feel free to hang on at the end and we'll look to answer that. If you do have any specific questions with regards to projects or existing access requests, at the end there's a slide that I will provide some additional details for you on how to contact us directly regarding those. So we won't be answering any questions on specific projects or ongoing access requests at present. So, what is the UK Data Service? The UK Data Service is a comprehensive resource funded by the ESRC. Our primary aim is to provide users with seamless, flexible access to a wide range of data resources in order to facilitate high-quality social and economic research and education. And to do this, we provide a single point of access to a wide range of social science data. In addition to the data, we also provide support, training and guidance in the form of webinars and a range of face-to-face events. We also collaborate across the UK with other organisations and research data experts such as JISC, the Cathy Marsh Institute for Social Research, the University of Leeds, the University of Southampton, the University of Edinburgh and the University College London. So sources of data. So the data we hold come from a variety of sources and we are allowed to disseminate them under licence from the original creator. Our depositors include national statistics authorities such as the ONS, UK government departments like the Home Office, intergovernmental organisations such as the International Monetary Fund, and research institutes such as the Centre for Longitudinal Studies. We also work with individual researchers. However, it is important to stress that we do not collect data ourselves. We only curate, preserve and catalogue data that is deposited with us. So who is our data for? Who can use it? Our data is available to academic researchers and students, government analysts, charities and foundations, business consultants, independent research centres and think tanks. However, some individual datasets do have select criteria, so they aren't available for commercial use. We hold just over 7,800 datasets of a number of types, with new datasets being added all the time. Here we focus on 4 key types of data. These are our most popular data. So we have survey microdata, major UK surveys, cross-national and longitudinal. So for example, some of these are known as the Understanding Society dataset and British Household Panel surveys. We also have quarterly labour force surveys and the Young Lives survey that falls under this category. In addition to that, we have international macrodata, multi-nation aggregate data banks and survey data. We also have census data, which is aggregate from 1971 to 2011, and microdata for 81 to 2011. And finally, we have qualitative mixed methods data, a range of multimedia qualitative data, and a mix of qualitative and quantitative data. So before we get stuck into the data types mentioned on the previous slide and how to access them, I'd like to touch on data categorization quickly. There are various ways we categorize data. One of these is by type, data on persons in the form of surveys. Another type is data on places, such as census data for small areas or international time series data for countries. And finally, the qualitative data and mixed methods data we mentioned previously. Another way to categorize is by purpose. So here we have two main purposes. We have the purpose of research, so we can have researchers coming to us to find data sets for their research that they're conducting, but we also have teaching. So we hold specific teaching data sets that have been created solely for the purpose of individuals who are maybe giving workshops or classes on how to analyze that data. And finally, we have by details, such as variables and questions. Now on this slide, we have an example of quantitative data. This example has been taken from the Public Attitudes to Animal Research Survey from 2016. This dataset can be found using our data search engines and is available under open license data due to it being less disclosive. You'll notice the banded ages and incomes and that the government office regions are the lowest geographic unit, so this data isn't considered high risk. Next, we have an example of qualitative data. This example shows transcripts from an interview with Frank Woolley from the family life and work experience before 1918, 1870 to 1973, also known as the Edwardians. This particular data is also considered open access, so is available from our QualiBank, which we'll touch on later. Now, we'll move on to the Finding Data section of this webinar, and we will cover examples of our key data and how to locate them, data by theme, how to use our data catalogue, and other useful resources and tools such as HASSET and DataMap. Key data are some of the most commonly used data that we hold, divided into different data types that we covered earlier. The key data page can be very useful if you're looking for a particular type of data but you haven't yet chosen a topic. The page can be accessed from our website by going to the Get Data and then the Key Data option from the pop-up menu. When the key data page loads, you'll see different data types listed at the top section. Selecting each one of these will load a list of suggested data sets and series underneath. So for example, if I select the UK surveys option here, I'll be provided with a list of different data series that apply to UK surveys. And again, if I was to select cross-national surveys, I would see a completely different list of suggestions. And finally, we have international macro data as an example. You can see here again another list of data series or sets are suggested for me to explore if I would like to look into those. Now, if you have a particular research topic that you're interested in, our theme pages will be the place for you. Theme pages can be accessed in a very similar way to our key data. Again, you go to the Get Data button on our home page, but this time you select the Data by Theme option. There are 13 themes in total, such as ageing, environment and energy, health and politics. Individual theme pages not only list commonly used data sets on the 13 different topics, but also provide additional information and guidance. There's guidance on how to search for and find data on this topic in our catalogue. Case studies examples of research conducted using the data. And links to external resources for further information. They're a brilliant resource for those of you who know what data, not what data you want, but what theme and what topic of data you would like, but you don't necessarily know which type of data. So it's a good starting place to head to if you're just beginning your research and know a particular topic that you would like to investigate. If you don't want to search by theme or use our key data pages, perhaps you already know what you're looking for, you can use our data search engine to look for all available data sets. Perhaps the most common way to access data is simply to search the archive using keywords, a study number, or other terms such as the dataset's title. In one form or another, the search function for our catalogue can be found on most pages of our website. You can see on this slide at the moment the different appearances that our search bar takes dependent on the web page that you're on. The example on the right-hand side as well is our main homepage, and that Search Data tab that you can see at the end of the search bar can also be selected to change to Search Website. So if you are looking for a specific page that isn't a catalogue record, you can also use that search bar there. So on this next slide, you can see I've performed a keyword search of employment and unemployment in our catalogue. In the blue box that appears beneath, you can see how many results have been returned, and the results are listed below this. On the left-hand side, you have the option to switch between viewing data sets and viewing data series, as well as filtering your results. The filter on the left-hand side can be used to help find a suitable study by narrowing down your returned results if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. In this clip, you'll see how I can use the filters date, topic, data type, access level, and country to filter the over 1,000 results I have down to just 2. And from here, I would select the dataset's title to view its catalogue page. But for now, we'll move on to the next set of search tools available, our variable question and QualiBanks, and we'll pick up with the catalogue a bit later on in more detail. So another approach you could use to search for specific phrases used in variable names via our variable and question bank. The variable and question bank can be accessed from the main catalogue search bar, and at the bottom of this slide you'll see an example of this. In the example on the right-hand side, you'll see what our variable and question bank looks like, and you'll also see that I've searched for the term solar power. Now, what's good about the bank is that you may not find many data sets that have the term solar power mentioned in their titles. However, this option allows you to locate data that contain questions or modules regarding solar energy, thus returning results that you may not have considered if you were just to scroll through a list of dataset titles. Next up is our QualiBank. This is our data catalogue for qualitative data, and the results returned on QualiBank searches are based on your keywords not only appearing in the data title or the information page, but in the contents itself, much like the question variable bank. So if you search for poverty as an example, the search will return results where poverty was mentioned as part of the interview, for example, in addition to possibly being in the title. Like with other search functions in our catalogue, QualiBank results can also be filtered by resource type, collection title, and by dates, as well as many other options. Like with key data and data by theme, our data map is available from the Get Data tab located across the top banner of our homepage under the Data by Geography section. Here you can use world maps to find databases based on their location. So this can be helpful if you're seeking data from a particular area. Once you've zoomed in sufficiently to pinpoint data sets, these will, like with our other tools, contain links to our data catalogue in order for you to explore more about the data and how to access them. Finally, we move on to our HASSET Thesaurus. Each dataset in our catalogue has key terms or keyword terms associated with it that come from the Humanities and Social Science Electronic Thesaurus, also known as our HASSET Thesaurus. You will see an example of these keywords as they appear in our data catalogue records in the bottom frame of this slide. These keywords link to regular searches conducted in the main catalogue, but our HASSET Thesaurus can help you explore topics as it links together these keywords and registers them under umbrella terms. For example, you can see on the right-hand side that I've searched poverty in the HASSET, and it has provided links to returned results in our data catalogue. You can see that here. But in addition to this, it has also suggested broader terms such as social disadvantage, narrower terms such as child poverty, and related terms such as living conditions, pawn shops, poor persons, and wealthy persons. So this could be worth potentially exploring these other links to see if they're applicable to your research. In this next section of the webinar, we will explore dataset and series records located within our catalogue. So many of our surveys are part of a series page, and a data series page record groups of these data together, along with other information and resources that are useful for researchers. Here we can see the Understanding Society series record located on the left as an example. The main page of the series record has an abstract providing some details on the surveys, as well as an FAQs page, which you'll see highlighted in blue, and a resources page which provides details of similar studies, case studies and publications highlighted in orange. Finally, you'll see the Access Data button highlighted in green. The Access Data tab is where the datasets that are part of the series can be found. The datasets are grouped together according to access conditions: end user license, special license, secure access level, and safe room, if the data series contains safe room level datasets. Each dataset's title is hyperlinked, so it includes it's a link to its own individual series record. So as an example, I'm going to select the study number 6614 located at the top of the end user license data box highlighted in orange. So that's this one here. On this slide, you can see the individual dataset catalogue record. So you'll see again, it's very uniformed. It does look very much like the series page, but that purple Access Data button on the series page will bring you to the list of individual datasets, and you can see those all hyperlinked, and they will take you through to this page. So in addition, much like the series page, there's separate sections here that detail further information. So to start with, you have the Details tab, and you'll see this has different expandable sections, such as the citation and copyright section, the Details section, and that's where you can find the study number and information such as principal investigators. It also has an abstract section as well that's applicable to the data set that you're looking at as opposed to the data series. And you'll notice just above that abstract section there's also the Thesaurus search on keywords section, and that was the section mentioned earlier with regards to our HASSET tool. As well as the expandable sections on the catalogue record, you'll also see that there are several tabs located just under the dataset title. The first is the main details page containing the section that we just looked at. Next is the documentation tab that contains data dictionaries to check the data's contents, as well as other resources such as user guides that might have been provided by the data owners. Then the Resources tab, providing details of similar studies, case studies and publications created using that dataset. Finally, you have the Access Data button, but we'll come back to that shortly as part of how to access the data. In this final section of the webinar, we will learn how to access data, cover access conditions, how to download data, and we'll look at some of the online data access tools we have. So throughout this presentation, you would have heard me reference the access level or access conditions of our data. Our data are broken down into 4 overall access levels: reshare data, open data, safeguarded data, and controlled data. Now, reshare data are where depositors have self-deposited data, and the access conditions are described in the catalogue record, as they tend to be non-standard, non-conforming to our regular access procedures. So if you do find a data set that you believe you'd like to use that is a reshare data set, on that Access Data tab, it will provide you with more information about how you can access that reshare data set. Our open data are considered to be minimal to no disclosure risk and can be accessed without creating an account with us, but sometimes require a click-through acknowledgement. Next up, we have our safeguarded data. We have two different access levels as part of the safeguarded classification. The first of these is end-user license. These data contain no direct identifiers, but there is a small disclosure risk through linking the data. So end-user license data, also known as EUL data, are protected by the need to hold an account with us, but can be downloaded almost instantly from our catalogue. Special license data, however, requires an application form to be completed and returned to us, so that we may liaise with the data owners for permission to release the data, as it contains more detailed information. Now, controlled data, like safeguarded data, contains a couple of levels. Secure access, which can be accessed from our virtual secure lab and requires an application to be completed, as well as technical security setup. And I would also like to stress here that our secure lab is a virtual space, so there is no physical secure lab that you would need to attend with us if you were applying to access secure data. We also have, under controlled data, safe room data. Now, this is data that is so sensitive it can only be accessed from our on-site safe room, and this is based at the University of Essex. For both of these access levels, researchers are required to demonstrate their trustworthiness around personal data and pass security checks and training. So next, we'll look at how you can register for an account with us. There are two ways that this can be done. However, both begin by clicking on the Register or Login and Register button located at the top right corner of our homepage. Once you click this button, the page will refresh through to what is our login screen. Now, the first way you can register is by applying for a username from us, and this is where we will issue you with a username. You'll create your own password as part of an application, but we will issue that username for you. So in the second paragraph on the left-hand side, you'll see at the very end hyperlinked the words "request a username." Now, if you give that a click, you'd be presented with that application form that I've just mentioned. You'd fill that out, it would be submitted to us, and we would issue that username for you. And if we needed any further information, we would be in touch via the details that you provide on that form. The second way that you can ask or apply for an account with us is via credential sharing or via the Access Management Federation credentials. So, whilst I must stress, each individual researcher must hold their own account, they can use existing credentials if their organisation is on the Access Management Federation list. So what you would do when you come to this screen is you would be able to enter your organisation in the box on screen. And then that would take you, if it's the first time you're applying for credentials, through to an application that you can submit, and you'll be emailed to finalise your login with us. If you're unsure whether or not your organisation is part of the Access Management Federation, there are two ways to check this. The first is your organisation will appear in the selection box that is on screen now. The other way you can check is by selecting the hyperlink in the first paragraph on the left-hand side, where it says List of Federation Members. This will provide you with a link to the UK Access Management Federation website, where you can see a list of all organisations that are part of this group. And this will allow you to use your existing credentials with your university or institution to log in to our portal. Now, we'll head back to our individual dataset record from study number 6614, Understanding Society and Harmonised BHPS. Now we're going to look at how we can download this dataset. The purple Access Data button on the Catalogue record will take you to the screen you can see on this slide. Here you'll be able to read about the access criteria required for this dataset, and once you're ready to proceed you can select the Add to Account button to add the data to your account. Once you have selected this option, you'll receive a green confirmation message. And from here, you can either select to go to your account from the green box or select the My Account option located at the top of the screen. And you'll notice next to My Account, on this example, I have the number 9 written. This number signifies how many datasets you have added to your account that are awaiting assignment to a project. But we'll touch on projects and the assignment process further on. On the next screen, you will see a list. So once you've clicked that My Account button, you will be presented with the My Account screen. On the right hand side you can see a box that relates to depositors, so at the moment that doesn't apply to us at present. However, the left hand box contains a list of all of your projects, datasets awaiting assignment and datasets awaiting action. We will be looking at the datasets awaiting assignment, and you'll need to click the View Data button to begin the next step of the process of assigning that data to a project space. On the next screen, you'll see a list of any datasets currently awaiting assignment to a project, and we'll be able to select the data and add to project. When you select that Add to Project button, this will refresh the page and ask you to choose to add the data to an existing project or create a new project. Once you have completed this project, a project space will be created with your account, and under this project will be what we refer to as an access request for the data. These are basically orders for the data. Whether you can download them straight away or if you need to apply for them and complete an application, we always have an access request created. Alternatively, if you do have an existing project, you will find that this new access request appears underneath that existing project. Now, the reason we request researchers to create projects on our portal is so that we can maintain not only an audit trail of the data access, but also report to our depositors which user types are accessing their data, what organisations are accessing their data, and sometimes for what purpose as well. Your project can be found from the My Account view by selecting Data and then the Projects button that loads underneath it. The page will refresh whilst you're doing this, and you'll be provided with a list of each project you have, and their titles will also be hyperlinked so you can explore further details such as general information like the abstract, or possibly the Members tab as well, which is located at the top here. The Members tab comes in useful if you're working with colleagues and they also require access to the data. You can add them to your project and they will also be able to see the project in their own accounts as well as having their own access conditions or access requests, sorry. And this provides a centralized point for the data to be downloaded as well. You will also be able to load a Datasets tab. This is where you will find your access requests. These will either be displayed as active and be available to download, or may show as an amber request access status where further steps are required. For example, if you were requesting special license access, this status here would be an amber request access status, and you would be able to click it to see what additional steps were required. So, for example, the special license would require an application be completed, and clicking this button would allow you to download the application form and then would provide you with further instruction on how to return that to us. Only once we had processed your request to access the data and received a reply from the data owner would that status change to active. But as study 6614 is an end-user license dataset, you can see here that the status is active straight away, and you can download it by selecting the tick box at the very end of the dataset and selecting the download button, or clicking the actions button, and there will be a download button there for you. Now we will move on to our online analysis tools. A number of our key studies can be accessed online throughout our Nesstar system. And the great thing about Nesstar is basic analysis and visualizations can be performed without downloading data or using statistical software. So if you don't yet have a particular software and are looking to explore data that you would potentially like to use, this is a great option. Nesstar can be accessed a few ways. The first is from the Get Data tab, which you will select the Explore Online option from, and you'll see this at the very top slide as an example. The second is via the Access Online button under the Access Data tab of selected datasets catalogue records, and you can see this on the right-hand side. The third is via the Nesstar link in the data series page. This is the bottom example, and you'll see here that there is a particular dataset that doesn't have that Nesstar option, and this is because only datasets that are available online via Nesstar will have this link. So you'll see that the Millennium Cohort study that is missing this Nesstar link is a secure access dataset, so it's too secure to be shared online and requires an application process. This next slide shows our Nesstar portal. Located in the left-hand column is a full list of all data collections available via Nesstar. Using the left-hand column, you can expand menus to see the dataset's metadata and variable descriptions. A dataset abstract is also provided on Nesstar, giving you information about the dataset. And tabs across the top help you to tabulate and analyze data. If you are looking to use international macro data, you may find our UKDS.stat tool beneficial. These data are provided by a number of organisations such as World Bank, OECD and the United Nations. Stat can be accessed by going to Get Data and that Explore Online option, like with Nesstar, and allows for the easy creation of time series data displayed as heat maps or other visualizations. However, it is worth noting that not all of the data are available to everyone. For example, International Energy Agency is only available for UK academics. If you're interested in using aggregate census data, then you can use InFuse for 2001 and 2011. On screen is an example of the InFuse interface where analysis can be conducted within your web browser. You can just pick a topic from the options shown on screen, and you can specify your parameters, and then you can produce tables. Now, it's worth noting that whilst I've only briefly touched on the Nesstar, Stat and InFuse tools in this webinar, they each have a collection of comprehensive guides and walkthroughs on their pages under the Explore Online section of our website. So these are definitely worth looking at if you would like to know more about these tools. Finally, if you have any questions with regards to how our data service works or anything about the service, or maybe the data we hold and the data access, we always advise researchers to look at our frequently asked questions page. This is located under the Help tab at the very top of all of our web pages. Or you can use the Contact Us directly via Get in Touch page. also located within the Help tab. So again, this Help tab is on the very top of all of our web pages. You'd be able to select that, and you can either use this Get in Touch hyperlink here, and on the left-hand side, this will provide you with another set of hyperlinks on particular topics that you can reach out to us. And when you select one of these, you'll be able to enter your query, and this will come through us via our ticketing system and would be picked up by the help desk on the Access team. Alternatively, should you ever struggle to get these pages, you can always email us at help@ukdataservice.ac.uk. And finally, we do have some time for questions. So if anybody has any questions, please submit these now, and I'll do my best to ensure that they're all answered. If for any reason I can't answer your question, or we don't have enough time, or any details like that, I will take these away and I will be in touch with you via email to ensure that you're provided with answers. Okay, so we have received a question asking whether or not the slides will be provided, so they can be followed through and the website can be further explored. That's not a problem at all. My colleagues in the comms department will be making the slides available after this webinar, so yes, a collection of them will be circulated. I believe this webinar will also be on YouTube, and our Twitter accounts as well will be mentioning this, so we can definitely provide you with a set of the slides. Right. Any other questions? We look like we're quite light on questions, so if you've got anything that you'd like to ask, feel free to submit it now. If not, like I said, you can always reach out to the help desk. So someone has asked about supporting data linkage to other data sets. So we don't necessarily support data linkage. This would be something that our support team would probably be better equipped to answer for you, but we don't necessarily support the data linkage. It's always kind of the responsibility of the researcher. Some applications you may find that you need to provide details on data linkage. If your application would require depositor permission, you would need to provide kind of further details on what data sets you would like to link. Sometimes in extremely complex cases of data linkage, you know, our support team might be able to answer a few questions. Sometimes we would direct researchers back to the data owners themselves to ask for advice, but we wouldn't conduct that linkage. The only time that you may see linkage already being conducted is if we have specific data sets that have already been linked, and usually this is because they've been provided to us in that format. Right, I'll give it a few more minutes if anybody else has any other questions. So someone has asked if there are data sets that we don't have, which the ADR UK would have. Unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't know that, but I will look into that and come back to you. Right, okay, so if we don't have any further questions, I do have one further question here. Do I need to sign any attendance before getting this presentation in our email? That is something for our comms team. I believe they would have collected a list of email addresses and names kind of based on the application or the form that you would have needed to fill out to attend and receive an invitation for this webinar. But if in doubt, please obviously do feel free to drop an email to our help@ukdataservice.ac.uk address, and you can mark that for my attention. My name's Madi or Madison, and that will just kind of ensure that we have got your email address and we can pop that across to you. And it can also ensure that I send you a copy of these slides directly if you would like as well. So someone's asked how long the secure access process request should take. So this is a very good question. It's one that we do get quite a lot as well. So we usually say kind of 6 to 8 weeks for a data owner's decision. So that's from the time that we have all information that we require and we're able to send that request off to the data owners. Some data owners are extremely quick to come back to us. Others do take a little bit longer. Some do take a little kind of bit over that time and we would chase. But it's a really difficult question to answer because it depends on so many factors of whether or not the forms require any further kind of amendments or whether or not they can be sent across straight away. So we would say roughly 6 to 8 weeks for a data owner decision. I would allow a couple of weeks either side for administrative processes. I know, in the past sometimes this does take a little bit longer when we do have extremely large volumes, but sometimes it can be a little bit quicker as well when our peaks kind of drop down and we don't have as much coming through our systems. Are there any further questions at all? Okay then, well thank you very much everyone for joining us. I hope you found this webinar very useful. If you do have any questions, get in touch. I work on the help desk and the access team myself, so I'll be able to answer any questions personally as well if there's anything kind of that you'd like to dive into that was mentioned in here. And yeah, thank you very much for your time and take care all.